Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, Maths Made Easy with Terry in 10 minutes. Okay, we're going to talk about quadratic formulas, and this is the first method in this series. So make sure you review the previous video because the other previous videos were like a build up to this. So it's very important you have a look at it as well, so you have a holistic view as well. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so when I post a new video, you'll be the first person to know. All right, so this formula was derived from completing the square method, all right? But I'm not going to go straight into that because I'm going to have a different video on how to do the completing the square method, all right? But just a quick reminder is that I told you that the quadratic standard form, if you remember in the first video, I said the quadratic standard form has a form of ax squared plus bx plus c. Do you remember that? So the standard form is in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to what? 0. Okay, so why I told you the A stands for the quadratic coefficient, the B stands for the linear coefficient, and the C stands for the free term. So it's important that you don't miss previous videos, okay? So how do you use the formula to solve this? Okay, there are 3 rules here, okay? I'm going to write down the rules on what to do. The first thing is that you have to determine or identify, all right? Or determine, or let's use determine. Determine will be a better word. So let's say you have to determine. So you have to determine, the value, okay, of A, B, and C, okay? So that means you need to look at the equation that you want to solve and see what is the value of A, B, and C, okay? Now, when you've done that, then you now substitute the appropriate coefficients. Okay, so that means those values of A, B, and C. So you now substitute the appropriate coefficients into the formula. So into the formula. And the formula is minus B plus or minus square root of B squared minus 4AC divided by what? 2A. Then that, when you're done with that, then you now have to simplify it separately. Is that okay? So you have to simplify the positive and negative roots separately. So you have to simplify the positive and negative square roots separately. So what I'm saying is that you have to then solve minus b, because you can see from the formula has plus or minus, right? So you have to separate it. So it's going to be minus b plus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a, or at the same time, you then have to have minus b minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. All right, so this is how you solve it. The first thing you have to do is to determine the values of a, b, and c, okay? Then after you do that, you substitute it into the formula. Then you now solve it separately. All right, let's pick an example now and see what we can do. So let's assume you are told to solve x squared minus 6x minus 16 is equal to 0. Okay, now let's go. The first rule says you need to determine the value of A, B, and C. All right, so let's go. Step 1. The first thing we need to do is to determine the value of A, B, and C, right? So remember, A is the number in front of x squared, B is the coefficient or the number in front of x, and C is a free term. So that means in this case, our A is going to be 1. So remember, I told you in algebra, so when you have something like 1x, it's written as x, or if you have something like 1x squared, it's written as x squared. So there's an invisible 1 there. So it's very important. It's an invisible 1 there. Okay, so we'll now solve that. So we have our A now to be 1. Then our B is what? The number in front of x is -6. And our C is what? The free term, which is -16. Now, when we're done with that, step 2 said that we should then substitute it into the formula, right? So we're going to do that. So step 2 is that we're substituting into the formula. The formula is -b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by what? 2a. So that will give us minus, b is -6, are you seeing it? Plus or minus square root of, what's my b? It's going to be -6 all squared minus 4 times my a is 1 times my c is minus what? 16 divided by 2a. Okay? Then we're done with that. Then the next step, step 3. Step 3 said we have to separate it. Basically, we have to simplify the positive and the negative. So that means we go to step 3 now. The next step to do is that we have to separate this into 2. So we're going to have -6 plus square root of -6 squared minus 4 times 1 times -16. So basically it's exactly the same thing, but only you have plus, or sorry, the A we have is 1. So that means this should be 1. All right. The A is 1. Okay. So the A is 1. All right. So this should be 1 as well. All right. A is 1. So this is 1 as well. Okay. Then, or, remember we're doing it separately. So it's going to be -6. So instead of, remember, instead of having plus, you're going to have what? Minus, because it was plus and minus. Okay. So that means the next thing, we're going to repeat the same thing, but this time we're going to put minus there. And you're going to give us -6 squared minus 4 times 1 times -16 divided by 2 times 1. Then, when you press your calculator, okay, and put all this in your calculator, the answer it will give you for the plus will be 8. And when you press all this in your calculator, just put it all this, the answer is going to give you is minus what? 2. So therefore, the solution for this, so x will be equal to 8 or minus what? 2. So that will be the solution for this equation. Okay? So let's pick another example. So let's say we have, for example, number 2, we have 2x squared plus 3x minus 2 is equal to 0. 3x squared minus 2 plus 3x minus 2 equals to 0. So let's say we have step 1. Step 1 said we need to identify the A, B, and C. So the A here is going to be 2. The B is going to be 3. The C is going to be minus what? 2. Step 2, we have to substitute it into the formula. So we have minus B plus or minus square root of B squared minus 4AC divided by what? 2A. So that'll give you minus B is 3 plus or minus square root of the B is also what? 3. So you see, it's important you put it in brackets. Is that okay? Especially when you're putting it into your calculator or you're imputing it into your calculator. It's very important that you put the numbers in brackets so that you not make mistakes with the signs. And that'll give us 4 times 2 times minus 2, okay? Divided by 2 times A is what? 2. So the next part is that we now do step 3. Now, step 3, we have to separate the plus and the minus, right? So it's going to give us minus 3 plus square root of 3 squared minus 4 times 2 times minus 2 divided by 2 times 2, or it could be minus 3. Instead of having plus now, we're going to have minus square root of 3 squared minus 4 times 2 times minus 2 divided by 2 times 2, okay? And that will give you that. So when you press your calculator for the positive, the answer you should get should be 0.5. And when you press your calculator for the negative, the answer you should get should be minus 2. So that means for this now, x is equal to what? 0.5 or minus 2. X is equal to 0.5 or minus 2. All right, so we're going to pick another example as well. We're going to pick another example. So moving on to the next example, let's assume we are having this question here. Solve x squared minus 25 is equal to 0. Okay, so now you can see, I told you in the previous videos that you have to ensure that A must always have something. So you can never have, you can have a missing term for B or C, but you can never have a missing term for A. So if you look at this now, we are having a missing term for B. So that means I can rewrite this as what? X squared plus 0x minus 25 is equal to 0. So you can see, in this case here, the B is 0. That makes sense? But it's never possible for you to have the A to be 0. So that means you can never have something like 3x minus 5. So because the A is 0. In this case now, you're having a linear equation. You're no more having a quadratic equation. Okay, so that is that for that. So we should move on to the next one. So we're having this question now. So we can rewrite this question as x squared plus 0x minus 25. Now the first step, as usual, is to identify your A, B, and C. So the A in this case is going to be 1, the B is going to be 0, and the C is going to be minus 25. All right? So the A is going to be 1, the B is 0, the C is minus 25. Now the next step, you then apply the formulas. It's going to be minus B plus or minus square root of B squared minus 4AC divided by 2A. Are you seeing it? So we're going to substitute it. Our B is 0, so it's going to be minus 0 plus or minus square root of 0 squared minus 4 times 1 times minus 25 divided by 2 times A is 1. Then step 3, remember I told you, after you've done with this, you then have to separate the plus and the minus. So it's going to give us minus 0, okay, plus, okay, square root of 0 squared minus 4 times 1 times minus 25 divided by 2, 1, or minus 0, instead of having plus, it's going to be minus now, square root of 0 squared minus 4 times 1 times minus 25 divided by 2, 1. Are you seeing it? So when you press your calculator for the first one, it's going to give you 5. Okay? And when you press your calculator for the second one, it's going to give you minus 5. So that means we can now say the answer for this, it will be x is equal to 5 or minus what? 5. And that will be the answer for that. Okay? So that is that for the formula method that we just finished talking about now. So the formula method, the key thing to keep in mind is that when you're doing the formula method, the first thing to do is to determine the value for A, B, and C. When you've done that, you substitute it into the formula, okay? Then also you then simplify, okay? Separate the positive and the negative, and then you solve. Is that okay? So that is that for that. I'll go to the second method in the next video now, and when we talk about factorization method. But factorization method have 4 types. We have the common factors, we have the difference of 2 squares, we have the trinomials equal to 1, the trinomials not equal to 1. So we're gonna see you in the next video, which is the method 2. Is that okay? And if you have any question, feel free to send me an email, or you can also put it in the comment section and I'll get back to you. All right, so I'll see you in the next video. And if you have any question, please feel free to chat me up and I'll reply as soon as I can. All right, see you. We're going to be talking about factorization method.